Today we are reviewing the G.I. Joe Classified Series Roadblock and comparing him to his vintage figure from 1986, and if you stay till the end, I will show you a very special surprise that awaits you, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits, and today we are taking a body part by body part look at Roadblock, and we will also be doing a similarities and differences comparison with his vintage figure from 1986. So let's get this party started by first looking at the Classified Series figure first. Let's start off by taking a look at Roadblock's box, and he comes in the G.I. Joe Classified Series window display, which shows off his rather large gun that is nearly as tall as he is, as well as the smaller accessories that he comes with here. Looking at his box art, I love that Roadblock is looking directly at you and staring intently through you as if to say, "Are you talking to me?" You don't get that reference? Go see the Taxi Driver movie. So looking at the side of the box, there's a lot going on here, and it does show Roadblock kicking some Alley Viper scum, as well as his side profile here, where he is donning some really cool shades that I wish were part of his accessories. Taking a look at the back of the box, Roadblock is almost dead center in the art here, and he looks like he is locked and loaded and fully charged and ready to blow a huge hole in some Cobra vehicle or some Cobra foe. And finally, looking at the side of the box, let's check out his roles and what Roadblock is famous for. He is a level 4 Vanguard, which means he is at the forefront of the action or movement and leading the charge. He's also a level 3 Heavy Weapons Specialist, a level 4 Strength, and which you can see from his figure because he is jacked, and finally, he's a level 4 Artillery Specialist. Like all of my other G.I. Joe Classified reviews, we will be taking an up-close and personal look at Roadblock body part by body part, so let's start with Roadblock's head sculpt. Now, Roadblock has a bald head sculpt and has always been, even going back to the 80s, but I'm not sure if it's a choice, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or if he's naturally bald. Inquiring minds want to know. His facial hair sculpt gives him a very realistic beard game, and his facial expression goes really well with the way that his eyes are colored and rendered on his sculpt. He has a very intense stare going on, and I would not want to be on the receiving end of a look like this. Next, we'll take a look at Roadblock's vest, and his vest looks very substantial, and I'm not sure if it's made of some Kevlar or some futuristic material, but it looks like it can repel bullets or other heavy weaponry. He's got a comm link on his right shoulder, and on his left shoulder he has a very substantial red strap that goes from the front kind of over his shoulder and kind of down to almost his mid-back here. And like a lot of the clothing that is made for this G.I. Joe Classified series, the way that the wrinkles fall on the clothing and the way that they're sculpted look very realistic. If you look at his abdomen here, you can see, and if we look at the back armor, you can see, the little indentations here where it's kind of form-fitting to his body. And the back of the armor looks really great. You can see the strap running down, and there is a pouch that's running more towards the small of his back. And I love that there is some variation in the textures in his vest here and also down here, and there is some variations of the texture as well as some nice clean lines that they gave him on his back here. All right, now taking a look at Roadblock's arms. Now his arms are super jacked, they're super muscular, and it looks like the sculpting detail has really shown off all of the muscles that they've given Roadblock here. And he's got a huge tattoo of a lion on his right arm and shoulder, which is absolutely stunning. Now, I don't really see into the figures very much from this angle, and it looks like he has some articulation in his shoulder, but he also has this really weird cutout articulation here, which I'm not digging very much because it just looks too blocky and chunky, and it just doesn't look good on the figure from this angle. Like, I really don't know why I need to move his arm this way or if he needs to pivot this way, but I think they should have done a better job hiding this. And taking a look at the gloves, I really love the way the gloves lay on his hands. They look really realistic. And if we take a look at the other side, they're pretty much the same. And I love the varying textures and colors that they use instead of using one single color, because a lot of the colors on this figure there's not very many colors. So it's nice that they added some variation to the grays in his glove here. Now, looking at the pants, they are one solid color on this figure, aside from the armored knee pad that they gave him on his left knee, which is a really nice addition. It gives the figure a little bit more interesting pattern to look at instead of just a plain gray pant. And I do like the texturing and detail that they provided in that knee pad. It just kind of gives that little extra pop to the pants, which, if you look at it, it's a very solid color, could be very boring, but the way that the pockets are designed and the way that the clothing detail kind of falls and rests and wrinkles on his legs, it makes it look a lot more interesting, and it gives it a lot more depth and dimension. All right, looking at Roadblock's boots, it looks like he has some laceless boots going on with some really nice tread detail on the bottom. It looks like he has some shin armor, which is covering the front of his boot. And if you turn it around, you can kind of see the gray shin armor kind of bleeding into the black boot there. So you can also see the strap detail going all around. And I just really love the way these boots and shoes are designed on these figures. Now, Roadblock did not come with a ton of accessories, but where he lacks in his accessories definitely makes up with the size of his gun. But let's take a look at the smaller accessories first. So he does come with a very tiny knife, which is dwarfed by his gun, but I love the knife handle detail. They gave it a little bit of a handle with an indentation here, like he could hold the knife with his thumb, and I do like that they provided some indentation detail on the blade here. He also comes with an ammo clip for the gun, which you can see here, and the ammo clip is very detailed as well. It has some grooves on the side, and it kind of looks like there might be some bullets there, and it looks like there is part of the detail here where it's nested up in his gun. Makes it look a lot more interesting than just a flat piece here. And finally, let's take a closer look at Roadblock's massive gun. And I really, really love the way that this gun is painted. It's a black solid color that bleeds into a gray, silver, and blue. And the way that the gun is painted, it actually looks like there is some energy flowing in this gun. There's also some blue deco there, which you can imagine some plasma shooting out of this rifle or some energy beam. And he does come with a reloadable clip, which I showed you earlier, and that just plugs in to the bottom here, which kind of gives it a little different look and a little different way to play with the gun. And here is Roadblock all geared up, and he looks amazing holding his gun. And the way that these figures are articulated, they can actually grab on to all of the handles and all of the mechanisms that you would want to pose this figure. And I really love the way that the arms were drawn and rendered in this sculpt, because the muscle detail really looks like he's grabbing a hold of the gun and really holding a really heavy gun, because you can see all the muscle striation in his arms. You can also see the little place for his very tiny knife that goes into his pocket like so, and he just looks really, really cool. And you can imagine his knee pad and him leaning on his knee and just really pumping round after round into his Cobra foes from a kneeling position. All right, so let's take a look at Roadblock's vintage figure compared to his G.I. Joe classified figure. And as you can see, Roadblock is no stranger to wielding a massive gun. So even his gun from 1986 was huge. It's almost as big as him, like the classified version, but the classified version is a little bit more updated, and since Roadblock is so jacked, he doesn't have to carry a tripod with it. He can just carry it on his own. There are a lot of similarities between the vintage 1986 Roadblock figure and the G.I. Joe classified figure, so let's take a look. And Aside from just the different coloring in the vests, the red deco is very similar in the middle of the vest and also on the shoulder. They did decide to throw a G.I. Joe classified star on Roadblock's chest, which is not present in the vintage figure. And if you made it this long to the end of the review, I do have a treat for you. So I did actually get a Cobra Island Roadblock that came in the mail today, and I did notice that he comes with some shades, so now we can recreate the side box scene. And he looks pretty fly with his shades. I wasn't really a fan of the Cobra Island Roadblock, so I think I'm just going to leave the shades on this version of Roadblock. And the shades are actually a really cool addition to the figure. And I don't know if you can notice, but you can also see through the blue plastic, it's a little bit transparent, so it kind of gives him a little bit of a more different look. And actually, the shades make him look a lot more interesting. It gives him a little bit more definition and just a more interesting look if you just rest the shades on his head. And aren't you glad you stayed until the end for that special treat? And thanks for tuning in to our review and comparison of the G.I. Joe Classified Series Roadblock. And let us know what you think of this figure in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button on your way out. And thanks for tuning in to Toy Habits.